Dear ladies and gentlemen, once more, it is both a great honor and joy for me to contribute to the second volume of the Elpis V-Law Review. Therefore, my whole gratitude goes to the head of the Elpis Network, Professor Vasco Pereira da Silva, for giving me this opportunity. The matter in hand of today's contribution would be put within the general context of this volume regarding the general relations between the European Union and the United States, and besides that also some legal comparative issues to that extent. The matter in hand would be democratic transition, stricto sensu seen in regard to the administration, to the government. As you all know, of course, there has been a change of administration in the United States some weeks ago. And as you also know, within the context of the European Union, the newest Commission is in office since the end of 2019. Of course, one could say, well, the Commission is an institution of the European Union, and one could be skeptical whether it could be considered or not some sort of government. If we take it plainly based on Montesquieu, and if we have a proper look on the several tasks and competences of the Commission, one could get to the conclusion, especially positivists of the European Union law, that the Commission fulfills the role of the executive power in that context. Therefore, this comparison will be between the United States administration, the United States government, and the European Union Commission. And more concrete, it will regard the way of appointing the members of each administration. In regard to the US Constitution, Article 2, Section 2, and Clause 2 of it empowers the head of state, the president, to nominate, first of all, candidates for his or her new administration, and it is necessary for him or her to afterwards get the consent, the confirmation by the United States Senate. More concrete, Article 2, Section 2, Clause 2 of the Constitution reads as follows: the President shall nominate, and by and with the advice and consent of the Senate, shall appoint, between others, public ministers, secretaries, members of his or her administration. Of course, this appointment takes quite a lot of time. If you followed the media properly, you will have understood that the current president of the United States had already nominated the biggest part of his administration after election day, meaning within November and the beginning of December of 2020. Of course, Senate hearings, as we said, the confirmation of the Senate is necessary. Senate hearings did not start to take place before his inauguration, meaning that these hearings have started after January 20th and are still going on these days and weeks. This leads to a sort of puzzle composition, one could say, of the United States administration, because up to now only a handful of secretaries have been confirmed by the United States Senate. Having in mind that the US president has been inaugurated on January 20th, 2021, the situation leads to the fact that most of the ministerial roles are fulfilled by persons who have not been confirmed by the Senate and are fulfilling these jobs of secretaries on a temporary basis. Having that in mind and having a look on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean at the European Union, of course, the whole structure of the executive power is a different one. First of all, the European Union is still, of course, not to be considered as a federal state. But as I said at the very beginning, the Commission can be seen as fulfilling executive powers within the context of the European Union. And of course, there is no European Union's president to be able to appoint the members of the administration, if you will, of the Commission of the European Union. Nominations are done by the member states themselves, by the governments of them. And it is quite special, of course, that in Europe we have a sui generis system of European Parliament elections, leading to the election of the President of the Commission, who afterwards, as I said before, with the nominations of the member states, can present a list of future commissioners to the European Parliament, which has afterwards to confirm these nominees. As Article 14, Para 1 of the Treaty on the European Union reads, the European Parliament elects the President of the Commission, of course, but it does not do so on its own. Article 17, Para 7 takes into the account also the European Council, which consists, of course, of the heads of state and government of the European Union. Therefore, the result of the election of the European Parliament does not lead necessarily to a clear solution in regard to the next president of a European Commission, meaning that the Parliament itself, the European Parliament, and the European Council have to find some sort of compromise in regard to the person of the future President of the European Union Commission. This topic could fill another series of lectures, the election of the President of the Commission. I'd like to focus more in order to compare these elements to the US elements I presented shortly before. I'd like to focus upon the way of appointing the commissioners of the European Union. There are hearings which take place, as I said before, within the context of the European Parliament. This is very much comparable to the hearings before the United States Senate in regard to the appointment of future secretaries of the US government. And of course, these hearings within the context of the European Parliament have led to the case that quite often nominees of the governments of the member states have not been or could not be appointed as commissioners due to several issues which they had. Following the rules of procedure of the European Parliament, and more concrete, Rule 125 of it, the President of the European Parliament shall, after consulting the president-elect of the Commission, request the nominees of the jobs of the European Commission to appear before the appropriate European Parliament committees or bodies according to each of their prospective fields of responsibility. These hearings normally take place shortly after the person of the new Commission President has been elected by the European Parliament, in order to make sure that an upcoming Commission is able to take office not too long after the election of the President of the Commission. Therefore, we see a quite important difference between the US and the European Union's administration to that extent, meaning that if you take a look at nowadays Commission, they could take office at the beginning of December of 2019, at the very same day, after all of its members had been confirmed by the European Parliament. On the other side, the United States administration, the current administration, still consists of only a handful positively confirmed secretaries and some persons who, on a temporary basis, have the job as secretaries, awaiting the confirmation of the other secretaries by the Senate. At first sight, this difference seems to be an important one, but one has to take into account the fact that within the opinions of legal scholars of the US, most of these opinions do not see this situation negatively, because the US administration, despite the fact that it takes some weeks and months to have all the presidential nominees confirmed by the Senate, despite this fact, the United States administration has proved to be very efficient, because what happens right now with the long time the Senate confirmation of the candidate's needs is not something new. It has happened to previous administrations before. Therefore, it is not seen negatively by most of the legal scholars in the US. And as I said, the United States government is still very efficient despite this puzzle situation of confirmation of its secretaries. Therefore, the difference I depicted before between the administrative bodies of the US and of the European Union proves de facto not to be a big one. What is, of course, of the utmost importance is the degree of scrutiny, of democratic control. The Senate in the US case and the European Parliament through its committees in the European Union's case have upon the executive power. Scrutiny and control, which is very much needed nowadays. Thank you very much.